Hey everyone, I'm Matt, and today I have got some Rex Black Diamond chain lube. So I like testing lots of different chain lubes and seeing which is probably the best, the one that lasts the longest and one potentially the fastest. And this is one that's been brought to my attention and I've not actually used it yet. So this is Rex, are a company from Finland. They do, or they traditionally do, the wax for underneath skis and snowboards. So, and then this is a product that they make for bicycle chains. So it's very expensive. So I've tasted quite a few other ones, including Ceramicspeed UFO Drip, which I mean that's expensive, and you need a lot of it. That's the only sort of big downside of that. It doesn't last in the wet either, despite what they say. Then what was most expensive after that was Muc-Off AF, which is absolute garbage. Don't buy it. Unless you've got an indoor bike or maybe a track bike. If you take it outside, you just get crap on it straight away. It's absolutely useless. This, however, is wax-based, and they claim that it's suitable for all conditions. So that's really what I want to try. This is only 30 millilitres, so it's tiny, and it's cost me over £30. I think it was roughly, with postage here in the UK, it's about £35. So we're talking over £1 per milliliter. Muc-Off retail is, I think it's £1 retail, but you can buy it cheaper. So it's a lot more expensive. They claim it can last up to 1,000 kilometers per application, but when you look into detail, it actually says from 50 to 1,000. So if you're only getting 50 kilometers out of this, it's not going to be great. But I want to test it and to see if it can last. So I'm going to first put it on my winter bike, just coming out of winter in the UK, so perfect conditions. And I'm also going to put it on my gravel bike, see how it can cope with mud and stuff off-road. My go-to, if for race conditions, I will use an Immersion wax. So Molten Speed Wax, normally go-to. It probably cost me £30, and that bag that you get has lasted me years. It just goes on and on forever. I use a slow cooker, and to degrease the chain, I have got a ultrasonic cleaner. So the chain I'm going to be putting this on first of all is ultrasonic, so I can get it as clean as I possibly can. It's a brand new chain, and then it's ultrasonically clean, so there's no sort of grease on it to start. Now this is tiny, but they say to apply 1 drop per link, to rotate it a few times, and then put another drop per chain link, and then that's it. You wipe off any excess on the outside, because same with normal chain lube, it's only the inside that matters, not the outside. So actually applying one is, you can see, look at that, it really holds on to it. This might take a while. Okay, so I've managed to get it applied. Took a little while, but what I will say is it's relatively easy because of the colour of it, because it's quite, it's like a dark grey colour. It's quite easy to see, and then the consistency, although, yeah, just really, really gloopy, but it hangs on to the link quite well. So as you are dropping it on, you can see that it holds onto the bottom of the link as well. So now it's time to ride, and we'll see how many kilometers it can do, and I'll also keep a note of the type of conditions, the weather conditions and road conditions I'll be riding, and see if it'll last. There's no point me trying to see if it's any faster or anything, because it's, you need a lab for that. So I can take their word for the speed. What I want to see is it actually any good at lasting up to 1,000 kilometers. So I've now done 250 kilometers. I can do a first update on this. Of those, so it's been over 4 rides. 2 have been completely dry. 1 has been dry but wet road, and the last one was half of it was dry, and then it poured down for 2 hours. So yeah, a bit of a mix, but mostly dry. And yeah, just have a little look at it now and see how it's faring up. So it looks fairly clean, although there is some dirt on it, which I was a little bit surprised about, considering it's wax based. And it's also quite noisy now. It's got worse the last couple of rides, so even after 200 kilometers it started to be noisy. I don't know if that's because I haven't got enough on there. I suspect maybe it is because it's fairly quiet in the bottom cogs. As you go up to the top, that's when it starts to get very noisy. So for this bike, I think, you know, it's just a little bit disappointing in a way, 250k, and it's starting to get a little bit dirty, and I think I'm going to top it up. The other bike then, it's got a chain ready to go on, so I'm just going to do exactly the same process, do exactly the same amount onto it, and that's a gravel bike, so it's going to be used on and off-road, and see how that one fares now. Update number 2, I've got a different bike now, so my gravel bike, and just had a pretty horrific ride in terms of weather. So it was about 90 kilometers, been about 4.5 hours. A lot of off-road, and the weather's been really bad. If you can see me behind me, it's just, yeah, it's really quite wet. Lots of off-road as well, and the off-road has been quite gritty, and it's the type of terrain and weather that normally you just strip a lube off straight away. Okay, so this is the off-road bike, and there's a tiny bit of dirt on it, but you can feel there's definitely lube still on there. Now, compared to everything I've used in the past, even over 90 kilometers, this is done really well. You can also see there's water droplets there, so you can see how it's working. So although on the road bike I wasn't initially that impressed, this has started to change my mind. I've used something like UFO Drip on similar conditions, and that's just washed it all off in about 40-50k. So same with pretty much any other lubricant. Yeah, so tiny bit of dirt, but overall it's pretty clean. I've now been testing the Rex Black Diamond long enough to really test how capable it is, especially in the conditions that they claim it's good for, which is poor weather conditions. And overall, I'm a little bit mixed on it. So first of all, what I'd say is if you take this, or if you hope it's going to last for 1,000 kilometers, I think that's pie in the sky. Unless you're on a perfect weather constantly, maybe even indoors, I don't think it's going to last anywhere near 1,000 kilometers. That said, it has lasted better than most other, or if not all other, wax-based chain lubes that I've used, and it's also stayed relatively clean. It's not been as good as an immersion wax in terms of how clean it is, but it has washed off really well, which has been good. So when after I've found a bit of dirt on it, or when it's come to be top it up, I've just given it a quick blast, and the dirt has come straight off it. The chain is really clean after. I think Rex have been the way they put this, I think they say it lasts between 50 kilometers and 1,000 kilometers. Now, that's just such a huge range that almost any chain lube will, say any chain lube, a lot of chain lubes will last at least 50 kilometers even in poor weather. So I guess the big question is, will I keep using it, and will I recommend it? And the answer to both those is yes, although there are probably some conditions where I would recommend it more than others. I will continue to use this on my winter road bike because nothing else I've used that lasts as well as this in poor conditions. And it's really easy to wash off, and you can, it takes a little bit more time to apply, but it should make the drivetrain last longer. Yes, there are some oil-based lubricants, the chain lubes that will also last long, but they'll also destroy your drivetrain pretty quickly. Muc-Off AF, I think it destroyed a chain for me in just over 1,000 kilometers. So there's no way I would use that. I'd also use this for events, gravel events, off-road events, where the weather's poor. Again, just because it stays a lot cleaner than most others, and it will last longer than an immersion wax, or I believe it will. Where I would use an immersion wax over this is dry conditions. So my summer bike, or an event where I know it's going to be dry, and the immersion wax will last long enough. But overall, I'm really impressed with it. Yes, it's expensive, but nothing else I've used that can perform as well as this in poor conditions in particular. So hopefully it's been of help to some people if you're looking to try a different chain lube. If you have got any questions, just leave them below and I'll try my best to answer them.